Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Super Soldier Lady Talk. This is a new chapter that I am calling A Chat with Chastity. During this chat, we talk and discuss our spiritual journey and the ups and downs, the societal indoctrinations, programs and agendas, plus more. I look forward to bringing you more chats with Chastity. Please stay tuned and thank you for watching.
How
Hi,
are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm outside and not in the studio, so
I can see your background is beautiful.
thank you for what it's worth, right? We have a
Yeah,
moment of beauty.
yeah, looking good. Well, as you
Yeah.
see, this is a real background. Right. So we've been trying to talk for some time, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. We have been trying to talk
You
for
have.
some time.
And,
And it's hard to think of ourselves outside of anything really past
mhm.
20s and 30s. And it's hard to look at our children
You
past
know,
being a child.
it's good to hear you say that because that is true. Because, when I think of myself, I'm in my 20s or 30s. And
Mhm.
then with my mind, I go and I do things a 20 and 30-year-old will do. Oh, I can do this. I can push this. I can move this sofa. And then
Mhm.
you wake up the next morning, you're like, you can't move. Your feet hurt, your legs hurt. You're like, well, what's going on? You know? So you're right. The mindset is still in the 20s and 30s, but the body is slowing down a little bit.
It does slow down. It does slow down a little bit, and you wonder if it's ageism. Like a program that where, and well, I would say that it's a program, but it's an indoctrination as well.
Mhm.
Of you retire in your mid 60s, uh, and now even they're pushing this idea that, oh gosh, you can't retire in your 60s. You're going to have to work well into your 70s.
Mhm.
So we're living longer, better, and I believe that's from the awakening. People are coming out of that deep sleep.
Yes, you're right. And the information is so much now that if you're having an issue or you have an understanding of something and then you find out, no, that's not quite right, you can research now
Mhm.
much better because the information is right there. There, it's like no reason for anyone to remain in the dark any longer unless they choose to,
Yeah,
you
I love
know.
that you said that.
Yeah. Because
Unless you choose to.
unless you choose to, because I have noticed, which we have to be aware of, is that when you start doing like research on the search engines, the first thing, especially with Google, is that's coming up is the AI search.
Yes, I noticed that today. I noticed it today.
Yes. So you have to scroll past that to get to other things, but
Yeah.
it's giving you the AI return search of the topic you're searching for. So it's
Yeah.
pretty interesting, you know. So I'm like, because I noticed it, I don't know, last week or yeah, last week, and I was like, what is this? Because it sounded pretty good. It's
Mhm.
like this is what I was searching for, and the way it was written, it was very understandable. It gave a full and complete answer. Whereas the other searches, it'll give you specific that, then you have to go somewhere else, maybe to check some parts of that response.
Mhm.
So I found that very interesting.
It is very interesting. And that's the world we're heading into.
Mhm.
Or is it? I just this brief little connection with a friend this morning, and we're feeling that uh, Well, she was talking about the separation of worlds, is what she had said. She said it feels like the separation of worlds. That's what she's hearing from, um, her body, and uh, and some people would call it the bifurcation. And you know how I see it. I see it as we're going back to the abilities that we had to consciously walk in and out of dimensions. We're blipping in and out all the time anyway. And but it's pardon my limited uh, disinformation, but it's as if we were in Lemurian times, and I just say that as an epoch, just so we
Mhm.
have an idea of the consciousness then, and we were able to go between the third and fifth dimension, or the fifth and seventh dimension at will.
Mhm.
And this would be more with the physicality, or I see it more as it felt more physical to us. Perhaps it was still more etheric, but it made more sense to us. And currently, what we're doing is we can only travel that way through our consciousness,
Mhm.
so we think. I still believe and then we're seeing ancient portals open up. We're seeing
Mhm.
everything come back into alignment, and all these gates are coming into awareness, and all these portals, and people are finally going, oh my gosh, wait a minute, hold on. My body is a portal. My body is a vehicle.
You're
I'm still
realizing,
convinced. Yeah, I should be able to come and see you, without
yes.
taking a plane,
Mhm.
and not just travel in my mind. Like, I know that I should be able to come and see you.
Mhm.
And
And that's
and
the bilocation,
yeah.
because that is what Yeshua did when he was surrounded around all these people. Um, I guess when he turned the tables over, and they were like, "Well, where did he go?" He was never there. This is
Mhm.
my understanding because I've been through that Bible and just it brought reading it myself brought me out of it, and I began to get an understanding of how things were really working and how to understand them. So I was like, well, how is he there and there? And then I started seeing not the magic, but the abilities that he had, that he came to tell the people that they still had. But we were
Yes.
like we are now. We have these what do they call them, those scales on our eyelids, so we can't see what's really going on. And once we just have to start paying attention more.
Yeah.
And I give you an example. We were talking about my family and I were talking about this house, and we were making a decision about which one to get. And so we were discussing it, and I looked at the oven, and it said 1111. And so I said, 1111, this is what we're getting. And my son goes, what happened? What happened? I said, no. See the numbers? And he's like, yeah. I said, that means it's beginning. We're on the right path. Pay attention to what's going on right now. And I said, this is what we're doing. And so this is the way we're going. And the home that we selected is the only one left. And it's been sitting there waiting.
Wow.
So that's the one we're going. I mean, I think the other seven, one, two, three, the other six are gone as
Mhm.
far as being purchased. But this one has just been sitting there. And I said, that's the one for us. We got the sign, you know, we call, it's still available. I said, those are the signs. They call it synchronicity, but we get signs all the time.
Yeah.
But we just have to pay attention. And when you believe in it, you'll understand it, and you can use it to help you um, go through life, make
Mhm.
decisions,
Mhm.
things like that. And I
Yeah.
think that is the time that we're in, because people, they've gotten to the point where they're looking at the negative, the signs and symbols from the other side. Now that they recognize, like the Baphomet and all that other kind of stuff, they recognize those now. So now they're able to recognize the good signs. This is what I think, because they can see the numbers. They can see, like I said, the synchronicity. They they're starting to get vibes from people,
Mhm.
you know? They're starting to be more intuitive. They're paying attention to that gut feeling than they used to. We used to just worry or rely on, like, the new age, like the internet. We used to rely on the verbal that we learned in school or that our parents told us. And I have to tell you, some of the information, probably a lot of it, that I had that I passed on to my children, I have totally reversed during this time of awakening.
Mhm.
So now, but before I was got to go to church, got to go to church when I retired. And now I'm like, whoa, church. Then I find out the etymology for church came from circus or circa.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you're finding out, and even though you're using this word church, it really means a circus. It's a performance.
Yes, it
So
sure is.
yes. So I think that's what's going on. Everybody is awakening and they're finding out different things.
Yeah.
And they're seeing the positivity in it. When you pay attention to those gut feelings and those signs that you get, positive things start happening in your life.
Yeah.
It helps you to make a decision. That's how I
Mhm.
see it.
And I want to go back to the church for a moment.
Okay.
I was raised Catholic,
Mhm.
and so it's curious to me because ever since I was a little girl, I could see the in. I didn't know it as indoctrination, right? I didn't know that that's what it was called, but I could see. Uh, Well, we'll just say the demonic energy that was residing within the walls of the church. And, listening to the priest speak, whether he was reading from the Bible or telling usually, I mean, in Catholic church, they read excerpts. And uh, over time, I started putting things together. You start putting them together. And at a very young age, I started seeing more than one God that they were discussing. And I started going, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And then you can see, they say, within the church walls, everything's like pure and sacred. And yet I could see demons hanging on the backs of people and like turning their face outside, like turning their face away, but it'll look like the human face, but then it would turn away. So you would see the human face and then the thing attached to it. I mean, just terrifies you as a child, but good in the sense that you can see the different types of uh, programs, synchronicities, and this does bring me back to synchronicities and numbers because we all come here for a purpose, and uh, I believe that there are selected individuals that their identity is also hidden from them until the time is right. And and boy, I'll tell you, when the time is right, it sure is right. And
I have chills right now, so keep talking.
me too. I'm I I've had readings from people and things like that, and I'll follow the numbers like you say, or I'll follow that gut feeling, and then I'll get a reading from somebody, or we'll say loosely a healing or something, and I walk away going, gosh, they just said a whole bunch of things about me that don't resonate. Or and then I think to myself, okay, well, maybe it doesn't resonate because it hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, and whatever, and still it won't resonate. And it took me some time to see why I was being trained that way. And I say trained specifically.
To recognize.
What? Yeah. Why do I see this? How am I seeing this? And and then I realized that there are good holographic inserts in one's field, and there are bad holographic inserts in one's field. And the good ones are the stories that protect the identity of people that come here to do specific work. And so these are these are the ones also I think that get inserted into what many hear as the programs or the SSP programs, these kinds of things. I believe that there are some people that are there to observe. So there's a type of, and I'm not suggesting that they don't get injured from it or things don't happen, but what I am suggesting when I state this is that there are individuals there to observe, and they're while they may be physically altered or seemingly fractured in the astral realms, they're not actually destroyed like many other soul aspects are destroyed. There's an ability to heal much faster, to be able to understand how it affects. Unfortunately, because it's devastating what happens, but being able to see and feel that, and it's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was that program in particular, um, and just piecing together our ideas on that. Uh, anyway, I'm just kind of tossing that out there. Being able to observe the misfortunes as well as the good things, but from a filtered view that somehow codes back to the divine.
Let me as far as the programs, when I first started getting visions and first started understanding what was going on in the programs, I would see myself on ships. I would see myself. I mean, there was a point in time where every night I was drawing a ship that I saw.
Mm.
And so I have like a 2 week period where all they are ships that different shapes, colors, with beings in them. And then I started seeing people in the SSP community, and I was watching things happen to them,
Mm.
how they were being used, how they were being injured, and then I would see myself. Um, because I would realize, well, I'm here. Because I would see them like watching what happened to them, and then I would see in a different dream where something's actually happening to me. I've seen a person in the SS community. I remember being down on the ground and I look up and he hits me in the head.
Mhm.
And what I just based on the dream, I realized that I had, for lack of it sounded like some spy novel, but I had infiltrated and they caught me.
Yeah.
And so they were interrogating me.
Mhm.
And I've seen other SSP where they were injured or hurt and who did it. But what I had, because I started seeing all this, I would contact them and tell them. I would say, hey, I saw you last night. For example, James Rink. I saw him as the Hulk. So what, that alternate person that he is.
Mhm.
And I sent him a message and said, hey, I saw you doing this. This is what you look like. And his response was, I'm happy to see that he is still around protecting.
Mhm.
So there's others in the SSP community that when I see them, I'll let them know.
Mm.
If I see you, I say, hey, this is what I saw. Let's clear it up.
Mhm.
You know, um, the twins that are in our group, and I said, hey, we got to clear this up. Like that. And I think that the things are sent to me so that I can contact these people and tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I've seen beings behind Jessica that weren't good. They were negative, and I've seen uh, only one positive one that was protecting her. Um, she was in Paris to show you how we could see things.
Yeah.
She was in Paris, and I called her. I said, "Hey, I hear some man trying to overtalk you," and I said, "There's a baby screaming in the background." I said, "Something's going on," and she said, "That's the neighbor."
Hmm.
Did you just see that in front of you?
Yeah, but I think it was I Well, I don't see it now, but I actually thought it was a cotton bud. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, it was about probably about this big, and it's because I've seen a couple of orbs go by.
There are some orbs,
Hmm.
yes, but the cottonwoods are also flying by.
Uh-huh.
Um, although I don't see very many right now, but right before we got on the call, there were a bunch of cottonwoods releasing. So,
Yeah, well, that was a big one. I was like, whoa, what is that? But yeah, so it was her neighbor, and I heard her neighbor because I was trying to talk to her in the dream.
mhm.
But the neighbor kept talking louder and louder, and I could hear the child's, crying in the background. So I said, "Hey, there's something going on." And I told her what I heard, and she said, "That's the neighbor." I said, "Well, something's going on. I
Hmm.
don't know what it is, because I was trying to talk to you, and this is what was going on."
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
what I got in the habit of doing is when I see something, I let them know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's really interesting things in terms of ships. I feel like I remember things from when I was a child, um, but I don't hold those memories. I just have like you have that cellular sense of something. And this was really curious, though, as an adult. I was on the phone with somebody, and it was a basketball coach for my daughter. And then, and I was outside walking around talking on the phone. During the time I was talking on the phone, it was hot outside, and the hose was there.
Mhm.
And all of the sudden, I swear that I was taking a drink out of the hose and that there was a gray standing in front of me. And then it flashed away as soon as I saw it, and I was talking on the phone, and I'm talking on the phone thinking to myself, hold on,
What just
what
happened?
was what I was like, hold on a minute here. This is really bizarre. I'm like, is that a memory that I just had? Am I actually talking on the phone now? Did this just happen in this time? I was so baffled, and still to this day I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is. And, but these are the things we chalk up and go, oh, that was my imagination.
Yeah, yes, that's absolutely correct. And it is not your imagination. It was a flash of a memory that you saw, like when you were younger or a certain age, and you were out because I drank from the garden hose,
Hmm.
you know. So you just probably, as a child, was doing that, and you looked up
Yeah.
and you saw that, and you were because as we get older, older, um, the mind wipes, the
Mm.
erasures, they don't last like they used to, and we're able to
Yes.
start recalling this stuff, especially if we engage and if we start documenting. I'm big on documenting.
Uh-huh. You
And
are.
then
And I'm
yeah.
so behind on my documenting. I keep saying I really need to write stuff down. I really need to. The mind erasing, and how if we don't, how as when we get older, the
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 programming
memories
starts to
start to
break.
come. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because we have awakened. And I know that word is used and thrown around, but it's the best way to explain what it is.
Mhm.
Because it's like we were asleep and now we're awakened and we see
Mhm.
so many things.
Mhm.
And but like with the programs, um, the injuries,
Mhm.
those are real when they happen in the astral
Yes.
because I wake up with injuries. And I'm like, well, I didn't have that when I went to sleep. How is it that I have it now? you know. And the most profound one is when I woke up and I could not use my right thumb. It was just hanging. It was just hanging here, and I couldn't use it. I
Mhm.
couldn't hold a pen, a spoon, a fork, or anything. For the majority of the day, I had to use my left hand. And then slowly I was able to start using it. And when I
Mhm.
finally got a chance to talk to Jessica, I told her about it. And I told her about the dream that accompanied it. and she said your thumb was cut off. So, but so my in the physical, it was still resonating that
Hmm.
it was injured, and pretty soon, within a day and a half, it was back to normal. But those things that happen in the astral, those are real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
had
yeah.
I had this thing where I never associate myself with being in the programs. Like I don't put my mind in that space. Um, but I have some really interesting stories to tell. so,
Mhm.
so one of the we'll loosely say mission. I'm not a big fan of that word either. But I went
because
in.
because mission is like, this is something I agreed to. I'm doing
Yes,
this, for real.
yes,
So I'm going to go
and
do this mission and say,
and
but really, you were snatched. I want, so go ahead. I
right,
get it.
yeah. so and there's just some weird ones, but this one was pretty brutal. So I'll just, shields up on this one. I was going to look for children specifically, and I was undercover. And there are different worlds that we go to, and this world was it was dark. There was a lot of people in black suits with weapons, and we had to hide. I had to hide behind things before I could move to the next place, move to the next place, move. And so it was in the dark. So and these people could see like in the dark better than we could. So it was a challenge. And so when we get to this place, it was like I had to go downstairs. It was like almost like an underground club thing. And I had to have things scanned. I'll tell you, I was so nervous that I was going to be seen,
Caught.
um, caught.
Mhm.
And I walk in, I made it in, whatever code I had or whatever got me in. So I remember feeling like, oh, okay, I'm in. And I had to go get um, babies. I was there to get babies. And and they were two specific babies. I believe they were two specific babies. I don't know if they were twins. Well,
Were they
what had
boys?
happened, I can't remember. And I'll let you just energetically, I'll open my field so you can see this. So, what had happened is I carried them out in my womb. And so that's how I got them out. And I walked out. And then after that, that was a no go. And I was attacked. And all of a sudden, I saw like it was really like not like trash, but kind of trash, run down, and a broken green bottle. I think someone broke a green bottle and put it in a private space to try and dig things they were looking. And I said, "You're not going to find anything. You're not going to find anything." I was like, "You have the wrong person. I don't know what you're talking about."
Mhm.
And it was not pleasant. I will say that it was not pleasant. And then they finally let me go, believing they had the wrong person. And I walked into lines of, uh, they didn't look like humans, but they were kind of, I think they were supposed to be humans. They were trying to look like humans, and there were a lot of kids. Then I saw somebody, one of a long time ago's friend's dad was sitting by an apple tree. And he said, "You're not supposed to be here." And I said, "I'm trying to find my way home." And he said, "Follow them." And I looked up, and then I saw a bunch of apple trees, and they were all rotten apple trees. And I just started following this line of seemingly dead human slash something to blend in and get out. And then when I woke up, it was for a while, a week, 2 weeks, maybe, I looked pregnant. And I don't remember my dreams after that, but then I birthed these children to give them back to where
Mhm.
they belong. So but I mean, just like this is like, my gosh, but
So,
these things are real.
well, yes, yes, they are. And so, what it is that, because they were actually put into you. They trick us. They make us
Yes.
think all this stuff is going on, and that we are, and because it's a big thing to rescue children because we know what they're doing to the children.
Yeah.
So they use that, and they had you carry them for a certain length of time so they can come and get them. And I'm sure if you look back, you will find another dream where they came and got the children.
I feel I feel like I have that in my memory banks. Hmm.
Yeah, because I just got a glimpse of like you on a gurney,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, and it
Yeah.
was afterwards because your tummy was flat.
Yes, it was. It was
Yeah.
that, and then uh and there were also times where I think I was doing this for a while. There were times where I actually had labor pains. And I was bent over my couch, like swaying my hips back and forth. I was like, but doing grid work and stuff like that, we also birth new grids and nodes, and I mean all kinds of things depending on who we are, right?
Yeah,
So,
see all that stuff is the grid work. That's fascinating to me. Um, when I hear you speak about it, because I think it is, like I said, fascinating. Um, because right now, tell me what you know or see, because people talk the term the veil is thinning.
hmm,
Well, this is true in certain areas. It may come and go, and these beings are slipping in.
yeah.
And when they get here, they're hungry. They've never been here before. And so the first thing they do is start feeding. And we start getting a glimpse, especially the people who can see. You start seeing
Hmm.
these things. Because recently, tell me if you have, I have been seeing it's something with the children where they're coming to try to take the children. I've seen a man come into my room and he had a child by the hand, and I could not get any details of the child.
Oh my
And
gosh, did he have a hat on?
he had something on his head, and the way I drew it is he had some type of band tied around
Yep,
on the
a
side.
band. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the other side he had I thought it was maybe his wife, but when I drew it, she had two pigtails.
Hmm.
So, and then two yesterday I saw a man and three boys. These three boys are very chaotic. They're running around causing a lot of problems. And of course, they're not boys, they are entities.
Hmm.
And with the spirit of chaos is about the best way I can explain it. And I
Yeah.
saw one in my bed, and I snatched the cover off and I saw him in the fetal position, but I knew he was bad. And I grabbed him. I said, "What are you doing in my bed?" And I pulled him out of my bed and I was taking him. I gather I was taking him to get rid of him, and he fought me and he tried to bite me, and
Hmm.
I realized it and I moved my hand and he ended up biting himself. And that's when I woke up. So my house is normally clear because I make sure it stays that way.
Yeah.
They're just opening up.
They're getting through.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
getting
It
through.
I and when you reach a certain evolution of embodiment, that embodiment is your protection. So when you're walking as spirit self in a body, an embodied self, um, that is your greatest protection, hands down. You can build all the instruction sets, you bring them in and build stuff all you want. I'm a builder. I build
Mhm.
things. I build construct. I love it, right?
Right?
But they have to be built with divine energies, so they don't trap somebody.
More
You don't want
chill. Yeah,
to
you're right. You're
because
right.
you start building these structures and you start trapping people in their own bodies,
Mhm.
and that's a no, that's not a benefit. And so many shielding processes out there, they don't grow with the person because they're not built with divine energy. And they might think it's built with divine energy, but I would say that when you know, but you only know so much,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And so but these uh I have something on this. I'm gonna have to try and find where I wrote it down, but it was a dream about my youngest daughter. And we see this chaos energy you're talking about come through our children in behaviors.
Right.
And we're seeing it more and more.
It
And
it is a disobedient program,
yes,
and I've
yes, it
seen it
is.
before, and you're like, you're kind of amazed at it, makes you wanna step back, you're just like, "This is not my child. Where did this come
Sure.
from?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the best way because 'cause I've seen it, with Jessica trying to figure out something with my littlest granddaughter. She wasn't that way in the physical, but when I saw, you know, when you get these little ones and you now have to get to the point where you have to protect them, because I always told her that if she's in a dream state and she's lost or if anything's going on or she gets scared, I said, "Come find me."
Mm-hmm.
And she does.
Mm-hmm.
7, and she does come find me. So I see what's going on with her, and I'll clear it. And this particular time, a program was installed in her, and it was a program of disobedience to not listen to her parents.
Yeah.
So that is
And
a thing that we can
mm-hmm.
get rid of.
Yeah. Um and they're still they're so sensitive. And and it's really challenging for them, especially if one of these things gets a hold of the base of the spine and really starts integrating into the central nervous system. So it's pretty nefarious.
Mhm.
I was going to say something
I
that
apologize for, cutting
no,
you.
no, you're good. That was important. No, you're good. That
'Cause you
then my
had it
dog
going, I
barked.
said, "Da da
Then
da da."
then my dog barked. So um, going into embodiment, shielding our children. Gosh, remind me to find what I wrote about my little one because there's definitely something here. But we were talking about going into, what's happening. Oh, building. We're talking about building. That's what we were discussing. And so with the grids or doing grid work. I mean, there's so much terminology out there: grid work, ley lines, all the different things and dimensions and hyperdimensions and black holes and white holes, and
It's like,
it's so much. It's so much, and to bring it into a term that people can comprehend. Now, while I find language very important because it things need to be specific, we also have to graduate people into um, being able to start to grasp concepts outside of the physical body. And how do we do that? And how do we bring back the separation that was created between science and spirit? Science has become a religion, but it was really ripped away from the fact that we're electromagnetic beings and that all of this around us really is scientific. And I only say scientific because that's the only word we would have to explain electrons, protons, and neurons, all these kinds of things. Um, but when we're built, this is so curious to me because this goes into, there are groups out there that are doing mass meditations that are tearing down timelines, tearing down all these things. And this goes so much into this one gets me. I'm going to breathe for a minute.
okay.
Whose authority? Who has the authority to start tearing down someone else's constructs, whether they're good or bad? And I don't believe that's relevant. Everything has the right to be, period. They don't have the right to be in my space if I don't say so. So that always gets me too when I'm like, how did I agree to this? What part of me I'm like, "All y'all, come here. Which one of us agreed to this?" Right?
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly about the groups getting together to do these group meditations. Um, because whatever they're doing, they're letting things in, and it's based on how that the group is.
Mhm,
If you have people in the group that are, let's suppose let's suppose they're worshiping some other god. That's about the quickest way I can get to my point.
mhm,
They're not worshiping the divine, or they're not learning the divine. They're not on that path, that spiritual, esoteric path, to find out, what's really going on with us. They're on that other side. They're a part of that group.
mhm,
And so if they're in this spiritual meditation to do this and do that, it's it's going to put up other things where people that they're trying to that they have this meditation for. I'm trying to put it in words. It's going to trap people
mhm,
if you allow this meditation, or if you allow someone to send you healing, and they are not on the path of you, or they don't believe the way you do. You're allowing that person to send you healing, and maybe they're sick, maybe they don't believe in what you believe, and
mhm,
you're that healing is not going to work. It may
mhm.
You may get
E
sicker.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I did a big whole roundabout to say that I do
Mhm,
agree that no, we have choice here. That's why we're here. And that these groups, they don't have the authority to
yeah,
do what they're doing, because there
yeah,
is something that's called natural law.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
Now
have to
now
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, now let's say there are people working with natural law,
Mhm.
and let's say, they're connected with groups that, have or think they have authority. Well, either they have it or they think they have it,
Mhm.
okay? What are your thoughts on people moving actual structures? And by structures, I mean, let's just say planetary stargates, or
Mhm.
maybe a mother arc gate, or some other gate that connects. What is your thought and opinion on the ability that one may possess to move uh, earthly structures in such a way? Do you think that that's okay? Do you think that are there boots on the ground people here in the physical that have the authority to do that?
Now, I know that there are people on the ground that where there are portals, ancient sites
Hmm.
that people can go to get information, meditate. They're protected.
Hmm.
I mean, you've got soldiers hidden that are
Yeah.
protected. Yeah, things like that. And these things are where they are for a reason, and they've been there. And I think that some Monday night quarterback, is that what they call it, coming in and moving them, there, there has to be a lot going on,
Hmm.
meaning I can't do it. Um, and you're right, whose authority? And how do you
Yeah,
find out where this person gets the authority?
you're
And how
right.
do they determine that that's the one that needs to be moved?
Hmm.
What I do regarding if I see portals, I can see what's coming in,
Hmm.
and I ask to close them, because I know that they don't belong there. They're not natural.
Right.
Now, those things I could tell.
Yeah, well, portals are different than gates
Right.
and structures
Gates.
that are designed to link things together for because when you're linking things together with gates, ancient gates, stargates, these kinds of things, I mean,
Mhm.
these are travel sites, right?
Right.
And you start getting into stuff like some of them broken, some of them not broken, some are coming back online, being adjusted, some were taken over. Uh, and then we get into the not good guys and then the good guys, and then we go more into separation again, and we're trying to come back to holism. And so all of these
Oh,
things
yeah,
is
you're
like,
right.
ah,
But aren't they connected to our DNA?
yes, yes, they are, which is why I think I should be able to travel to you in no time, because my DNA should be, it
Yeah.
should be fully constructed with my
Mhm,
codes functioning, and I should be able to do that. And
mhm,
this is one of the things we've been kept from, and why there's a whole, keeping us off the real grid. So, and this is like when like I've loosely talked about chakra removal. And I don't actually mean pulling your chakras out of your body, but what I mean is there's actually an overlaid system that goes to what I see as a false planetary structure. And this is how they feed the programs in. You
Is that
see,
like those J seals?
there are J seals or some, and who labeled them J seals? I mean, there's a couple groups out there that call them J seals or the 666 seals.
Yeah, I didn't even know they existed, and the
Oh
only
yeah.
I knew of them is because was asleep and I saw it in my inner sight. It said J
Hmm.
seals,
Hmm.
and I kept I didn't think to read. I was asking people because it was J seals. I mean, it doesn't. Nothing from the name tells you what it could be.
Correct. Now, some people
Because I
would
think
call
it's
them, they're
like
Jehovian
Jehovah.
seals. Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
Jehovian seals. So that takes
Mhm.
us all the way back to the Bible,
Yeah.
and how many
How old
gods are
are?
in the Bible? And
Yeah.
and and I certainly don't want Jehovah covering up any of my body parts. So,
Right.
and so when we start getting into all of these things, well, that denies us access to planetary gates as well. That denies our access. It's like they're very similar to dimensional locks.
Mhm.
Uh, you know so when I talk about like pulling the off body chakra system, like getting it out of the body, really what it is, it's almost like a really nicely fitted over, like iPhone cover. It still looks like your iPhone, but like you could flip it around and maybe not tell. Like they're really good. It looks just like the chakra system. And I'm just talking simply about the on body chakras. Um, and getting that, pulling that up and off. And when I'm talking about this, sometimes you can almost see like gooey stuff come off, almost like a gelassic slime. And excuse me.
I ate before I talked to you, so I had a
Mm.
muffin. I
The
said, I gotta eat something.
I know. I had a I had some decaf coffee and an
Mhm.
oat milk vegan chocolate bar or something like that. So it was delicious. But uh getting all the old coatings off of our bodies. And by old coatings, I don't mean ancient coatings. I mean the things that control us, that fed into the system, that pulls us into programs, that pulls people into, and sometimes you'll see tattoos. They're etheric tattoos, but they're on your skin, you
Mhm.
know. And that tells you, oh, you've been in this program, or you've been in that one, or here's how you get in over here or over there.
Mhm.
And uh some of them, I think on some people I haven't even been able to get them off of people. So some of them, I don't know if it's just part of the makeup
Or
or what,
maybe
but
maybe it's part of what they said they wanted it. Because
yeah.
there are things that seem negative to you and I, but people have agreed to do
Yes.
these things. So maybe
Hmm.
that's what that if you can't remove it, as good as you
Yeah.
are, then maybe it's an agreement that they made. And
Yeah.
because
Yep.
when I had I think I had eh, 9 implants, and the only reason I knew something was going on was because I could start to feel it vibrating in my head, and it was when I started awakening.
Hmm.
Never felt it before, but as I tried to meditate, I would start feeling vibrations up here, and then I'd feel pings, and I'm like, well, of course, first thing I have a headache. That's
Yeah.
what I. But as I got further in the journey, and then it was so bad, just like this. and I found out I had an on and off switch.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the programs.
Yeah. Yep.
It's on and
That's
off.
so funny. I don't want to interrupt you, but this is so crazy because one of the things that I saw in this we'll call it a global takedown, right? I actually saw groups of people and I was seeing these programs and I saw what people would call super soldiers. I also saw military people and just different groups. And um, I was shown that there's an on off switch. And this switch is going to go on and it's going to activate these people. This switch will go on and it's going to activate these people. And in the meantime, there are enough people, I think, trying to get people out of the programs. Like, come on, guys, you know? And and at the same time, they're trying to recruit the kids through the astral realm, right? It's like because we didn't get the things cleared up before these new kids come in, they're getting tagged.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah, you're right. Because and we have to stay on if I mean if I see with other children, because children do come to me who are lost
mhm,
or need help and I help them. But if we have children that were over, and if everyone did this to the children they were over, they would see them because my little one, in a dream, she came to me and said someone did her hair and and I looked at her hair and she had barrettes in her hair. Though they were implants,
mhm,
what they were. But she came to me in the astral to show me her hair. And I looked and I saw all these barrettes in her hair. And I knew those were implants. So,
mhm.
you know, 911, you gotta help me get rid of all these. I have a
Exactly.
couple. I'm like, I mean, she's got a lot of barrettes and they're not barrettes. So, and I've taught her that if she has a dream to tell me,
Mhm,
'cause she's woken up with dreams. And her dad had said, well, tell me and I'll help you. She said, no, I will tell grandma because grandma said when I have a bad dream to tell me, for me to tell her and she will fix it. So she'll
good.
come tell me
Yes.
and I'll help her. So she's learning how to say the revocation. She's learning
Mhm,
how to send herself healing. And because they're so young, they they are open to mom or grandma or someone close
yeah.
teaching them this. So as they get older, it's automatic in them.
Yeah. Yep.
But those are just the ones who's has someone awakened in their family and that they're
Mhm.
allowed to help the children in that way because they're like, no, don't talk to my kids about that stuff.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
there's another level that we have to get through.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it's the
I
children.
would I would say the overall trajectory is good, but the complacency in humanity still exists. And I think I was just saying in uh, some conversation in a one of my little groups that we were talking, and there is level of complacency in humanity. And there's still enough people while they're waking up, they still think, God's going to take care of that, or so and so is going to take care of that. And it's like, if you don't show up, like, this can collapse any minute. it,
Right.
it, it's when there's this big standoff, that big standoff in um
What, the OK
what's that?
Corral?
Yeah, the OK Corral. And what was that movie? Uh,
The
oh gosh, darn it, with Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell. Tombstone. And the
okay,
one guy,
I did
the
watch
one guy, he blink or he winks, and it's that one wink that just sets everybody off.
it. It changed everything, everything.
Yes. So it just takes one person. Or there's another movie, I think it was maybe in Doctor Strange, one of the Doctor Strange ones, that maybe where, she scans for the weakness in the field, and you have one mind weakness, and this is just being attached to fear, something that you still a core seed fear that you haven't removed from your body. Or if you're attached to your children, you're attached to your house, you're attached to food, your pets, whatever, those are weaknesses
Even
in the
though,
spiritual realm.
yes, they are because they're used. You love your children. You may love love your home because your
Mhm.
home, you may feel protected in it. This is my castle because that's what's been ingrained in us. This is
Uh-huh.
our castle. You know, this is a place we can feel safe.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, it has been ingrained in us. Lost my train of thought.
That's okay. It's the outside things that we have put value in. And instead of the outside castle being your castle, inside you have mansions. Find them. You know?
Like that. Like that. Yeah. We we so I think I'm being messed with because I keep getting thoughts and they just go.
Then they go, I know. Well, we're having our energy together is pretty powerful. So I think the light beacon that it produces is like, what are they doing over there? Someone,
You
someone put
know,
a tarp on it.
how some people, with clearing their house,
Hmm.
they get the gems, they get the what is that the little wood, was that
Palo
Palo
Santo.
Santo. There are a lot of tools,
Hmm.
but my main tool is I pick a spot that's central in my home and I speak verbally out loud to the universe. That's how I clear and protect. You know,
Hmm.
I have this thing that I say, and it stays clear.
Hmm.
So my point is that we don't need to use all those tools because everything is inherent with us, and
Yes.
we speak,
Yes.
create. And if we want to protect our home, clear our home, we just have to speak it with confidence,
Yes.
ownership.
Hmm.
These are my children. This is this. I want to protect the children, or whatever it is. Speak it, and as long
Hmm.
as it's positive, it's helpful, it's gonna happen. And
Absolutely.
that's what I do. I have this central spot, and I stand there. And if you saw me, my son's like, "What is she doing?" And this is my home, and I'm a sovereign being. But
Uh-huh.
it
I use
works.
I use my light body and I create waves with it. And they're
Mhm.
like sound waves that will just like pound you right out, right? And I'm like, I am not not in my house. I used to teach I'm going to get back to in studio teaching at some point here. Right now I'm just teaching online, but I used to teach how to clear a home. And, because some people like you to bring your Palo Santo and they want to,
Well, yeah, there is
they like,
a beginning
they're,
point
yeah,
that you have
yeah,
to start at, and you have to use those tools.
yes. So we would go in there and I'm like, there's a demon right here. This is living in the wall. Do you see this? There's a whole nest right here. And boy, when I was teaching a class one time, one of the gals, she was like, when she heard me talk the way I spoke in authority, she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know that could come out of you." And I was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, we don't mess around.
That's right.
Like, there's no mess. Nuh-uh. Mm-mm."
Uh-huh.
So, it's kind of a joke because I look pretty non-threatening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just pretty amazing what happens. I think you look pretty non-threatening, but it's amazing what happens when you stand in your authority and you speak from that sovereign space.
Mhm.
And that alone, and if you wanted to, you could just add a little push there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Because you can speak into your authority. They'll
mhm,
hesitate for a minute, like, you know,
mhm,
and then you give them that little push. They're gone. They
yeah,
disappear.
yeah,
Because that's a little test. They're gonna go. They're gonna test you before they leave.
yes,
And,
they will.
and if there's a little bit of weakness, they'll come back,
Mm,
or they will change some kind of way, morph
mhm,
into something else. They,
mhm.
we've been tricked and things have happened for such a long time, but this is my saying, we're getting hip to the script.
I
And
love it.
it's an old term. We're getting hip to the script. We know what's going on. You
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
getting back to the church. When I first retired, I was looking for a church. And you got the Sabbath. Oh, the Sabbath is Sunday. No, the word means
No?
Saturday.
Hmm.
So then I'm trying to figure out why we're going to church on Sunday. So then I said, well, maybe that's wrong. I'm supposed to be going, I'm looking for someplace on Saturday. And the only thing, maybe there's two, I found was a Seventh Day Adventist.
That's the school my daughter I have my hair keeps like itching me, like I have these little tickly hairs right here. Um, my youngest goes to a Seventh-day Adventist
Mhm.
and
And
currently, and
they
go
have
ahead.
services on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so that started me thinking, like with the Catholic, I know that the Bible, um, I guess you call him the Father, uh, the on the pulpit, they have the Apocrypha up there in their book. But in the pews, everyone
No,
else's Bible does not have
no
those books.
apocrypha.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm finding out all these things, you know, and all it's like those things just kept jumping out at me. And that started to pull me out of what this is. And
Yeah.
then when I saw the word matrix in the Old Testament, and I know that there is a verse that says you will not change what a word or a title or a tittle or something in
Mm-hmm.
here. And then I was like, well, how did this word matrix get in here?
Mm-hmm.
So then when I started comparing other Bibles, I see they were taking verses out,
Yes.
putting them in footnotes. Like so that pulled me out. And then I found the Nag Hammadi, the pseudepigrapha.
Mm-hmm.
I found uh, so some. I even found the surf. It's called the Sefer, CEP, where they actually use all the names from.
Cepher.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where they actually use all the real names, Yeshua, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Yeshua. They use all those
Mm-hmm.
names and terms, and they
Mm-hmm.
have the apocrypha in there.
Mm-hmm.
But as you keep climbing this ladder, you know,
Yes.
all these things that you've been taught, all these indoctrinations, they start falling. They start falling. And then now you get to a point where you're intuitive and you follow your gut feeling, your
Mm-hmm.
heart, and you put this heart and this heart all together, and that's how you make it through this world.
That's right.
And so that's what I've learned. So if it comes to talking about the Bible and all the works and things, I could talk about them, but the bottom line is you need to come up out of that because
Yes.
so much more that's
Yeah.
going on in this world. So much
Yep.
that's,
So much more, so much more.
Mhm.
And the right language well, when the song is sung, the DNA will bloom. And that's when the memories really start to come through. I've been sharing with people to work with their bones and their blood. And instead of you know how the marrow makes the blood, and in our body, and how what we do is we just keep recycling the same stories, and we keep making the same uh, system in our we keep making the same blood in our system, and
Mhm.
until we actually go and intentionally go and clear our blood from all these false stories, these false prophets, these false ideas, these imaginated, created holograms, structures that bind us. You see, um, and we have to make a point to look for them. It doesn't matter if we don't believe it, because it's truth.
Yeah.
And I say this often: just because it's real doesn't mean it's true. And it's almost like we're walking in these false bodies, or like this false bloodstream that's just not allowing the truth to come through. So when we start really searching for it, the uh, we start hearing the song, we start hearing music, and that music vibrates our entire field, and the bones in our body vibrate. They shake. They're resonators, and they start resonating the truth in the body. And when you start identifying with the truth, it starts resonating more and more, and your field, all the programs in your field, they can just shake. They dissolve. They'll dissolve, and it really is that simple. But it's not simple to get to that point.
Right.
Um,
And
and we're
that's
also still, there's a dead bumblebee on the I just
there's
looked up
been
and
there's a butterfly that has been flying back there too, behind
I'm
you.
so sad for this cute little fluffy but bumblebee. He must have accidentally stung something. He's barely crawling about. Poor buddy. Um,
You know, you had spoken before, I think in one of your groups, about the song that the body, there's a tone or
mhm.
a body, a song that we all have an inner song. And I was like, okay, well, I never had, I didn't have one.
I'm not
And
singing.
so one, and I only recall this because I was going through voice recordings on my phone. And I had recorded, I woke up one morning with a tune, so to speak, on me. And I just I was, you could hear I'm I was still asleep, but I recorded that song. And I kept, as I awakened more and more, the song became stronger and stronger because at first you can tell I'm groggy. But I found it the other day and I said, this is what Chastity was talking about. That we all have a song. It's our body has this song. And
Mhm.
it actually, so I'm confirming what you said because I
Hey,
found it and I'll play it for you one day soon because maybe you can see or hear something that I cannot because I was in you could it's I don't know how to say it
well,
'cause
and when it gets into the etheric realms, it gets into the bigger bodies. It is a type of music that we can't hear here, right? So our song gets more dense, more dense, more dense as it comes into form, which is pretty typical, right? But yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that.
yeah, I was like, she was right. Because I don't know
I'm
where I woke
singing.
up singing. Uh,
Yeah.
and I was trying to put words to it because it was just a tone. The tone, it was,
Mm-hmm.
it had inflections and all that. And I
Mm.
was trying to put words to it. And I was, and then there was there. And I was going and it just dawned on me when I found it again on my phone. I said, this is what Chastity was talking about.
Beautiful.
I had forgotten about it, but
Mm.
probably because I was asleep in that
Mm-hmm.
sleep phase when I recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to be going through it. And I said, this is what she was talking about. I woke up singing a tune.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll have to let you hear it.
Well, should we put a bookmark in it and pick up again soon?
Yeah. What? Oh my goodness. I
Mm.
so enjoyed our
I,
conversation.
me too.
What I would like you to do is send me um, some of your maybe some dreams or something where you believe it was a program, you know, like the spy one. Maybe you see lab walls.
Oh,
You
I've pulled people out of I used to go when I was a kid, I was in a white room.
know,
Always it was all white. And the only thing I could manifest in that room was a wooden black chair.
to sit down. That was it. To
That
be
was it.
interrogated.
That's it. And I have had that since I was a child. Same thing. And I also had a Tarzan dream with a T-Rex in it. And
Yeah, I've actually inner Earth because I've been there. I've been in that dream state where I could hear dinosaurs. It's
mhm,
you know because I associate it with dinosaur movies. So I'm
yep.
in that dream. I'm waking up and I hear, "Don't laugh," you know. you know?
No, seriously.
Yeah,
That yeah.
yeah.
I woke up as a kid one time and I came around I was in dream state. And I walked around the corner in the house and out my window was a man that in my child self was like that's Tarzan. and he
Mhm.
was fighting a T-Rex. And he turned and looked at me and said, go back, go
You
back.
you were
And I
in
was like,
inner Earth. You had traveled there.
well, I remember as a kid, I used to open portals.
Mhm.
So, um, so who,
Who's that?
anyway,
He's like, who
so,
knows where I've been?
oh my gosh, that's why I'm like, did I have a dream or was this,
You were
um,
there. You traveled there. Yes. Uh-huh.
yeah, yep. I'm a
Okay.
builder and a traveler. So, well, we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Yes, yes, I'm very I feel real good about our conversation. I'm glad that we finally got together.
Me
Yeah.
too. I just love being with you. Thank
I
you.
so enjoy myself talking to you. I have to tell you.
We'll
Okay.
chat again soon.
Yes, we will. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Maybe I will have my own Zoom then.
Maybe.
We're gonna work on that. Okay, I'll talk to you soon, Chassie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
Okay.
love.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.